Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a super fascinating look at the hidden mechanics of human conflict. And we're doing it through a pretty unique lens, a boutique hotel's standard operating procedure. We're going to break down an actual training module designed for front office staff, but we're treating it as a universal masterclass in human psychology and conflict resolution. Because, whether you work in hospitality, manage a team, or really just want to get better at dealing with everyday conflicts, this structured approach, it's an absolute game changer for how you navigate stressful interactions.
So I want you to think about this for a second. When someone comes at you with a high-stress complaint, maybe they're super frustrated, maybe they're even raising their voice, what is your immediate gut-level reaction? Do you get defensive, or maybe you try to just immediately fix the problem so they'll, stop being angry? It's totally human nature to want to make that discomfort go away as fast as possible. But jumping straight to the finish line, well, that is exactly where most of us get it wrong.
Which brings us to the absolutely crucial point. Listen first, solve second. Honestly, these 4 words are the absolute core rule of this entire training module. Every single thing we're about to cover, every technique, every script, it's all built entirely around this chronological de-escalation arc. If you mix up this order, the whole system literally falls apart.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured 4-part roadmap. First, listen first, solve second. Second, the psychology of empathy. Third, taking action and escalating. And finally, closing the loop. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. Listen first, solve second.
Now, you might be wondering why we're starting here. It's because the sequence of your actions actually matters way more than the actual solution you provide. Let's look at what every frustrated person desperately needs before they can even accept your help. It boils down to validation, respect, and understanding. The most common mistake we make is jumping straight to a fix, right? Because we genuinely want to help. But if you skip those first 3 emotional needs, the person simply doesn't feel heard. And here's the kicker from the source material. If you offer a solution before establishing that baseline of respect and understanding, even offering something amazing like a free room upgrade can actually make a guest angrier. No way, right? But it's true. They don't just want the fix, they want you to know exactly why they needed it.
Moving right along. Section 2. The psychology of empathy.
We are kicking off this 7-stage chronological journey by focusing entirely on the emotional groundwork. These are the first 3 empathy stages. Step 1 is listening actively. Step 2 is apologizing sincerely. And Step 3 is gathering information. Notice what isn't on that list. Fixing the problem. Exactly. In these first 3 steps, your only job right now is to just be present and let the person finish talking without interrupting them. You're a sponge, here, absorbing, not resolving. And how you physically listen, that matters immensely. Look at the stark difference here. Active listening means making eye contact, nodding, really showing you're engaged. But if you have your arms crossed, or you're glancing at your phone or screen, or worse, you interrupt with a defensive "actually," well, you're signaling that you aren't absorbing their pain at all. You're just waiting for your turn to talk. And trust me, they can tell.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how surgical the training gets with the actual language for Step 2, the apology. The phrasing on the left is strong, it's clear, and it makes 0 excuses. Please accept my sincerest apologies for the inconvenience you've experienced. Perfect. But over on the right, we see the absolute classic traps. Saying "I'm sorry you feel that way" is just terrible because it subtly implies the person is overreacting. And adding the word "but," that literally cancels out the apology. The exact second you say "I'm sorry, but our policy is," the person completely stops listening.
So once you've truly listened and sincerely apologized, you reach Step 3, gathering information. And the training highlights this specific sentence as the single most important question you can ask. What would make this right for you? Sometimes guests really just want an explanation, or maybe they want a completely new room. If you just ask them, they'll tell you. If you don't ask, you're forced to guess. And spoiler alert, you're going to guess wrong almost every time.
Section 3. Taking action and escalate.
All right, this marks the pivot in our arc. We're moving from emotional empathy to decisive, practical action with steps 4 and 5. This is the exact moment where you finally match your fix to the problem and, just as importantly, where you recognize the limits of your own authority so you know exactly when to call in backup.
And this brilliantly illustrates how your solutions need to be dynamic. Take that first scenario, no hot water. The critical detail isn't just the water, it's the fact that they have a tour bus leaving in 25 minutes. A ticking clock absolutely forces you to adapt. You don't make them wait 15 minutes for an engineer, right? If the fix isn't immediate, you move their room right then and there. It's all about matching the severity and the urgency of the solution to the specific reality of the complaint.
But what if you actually can't fix it yourself? Well, step 5 is to escalate. And here is a word-for-word script on how to do this correctly. I'm going to bring in our front office manager to make sure this is resolved properly. I'll be back in 1 minute. The training stresses an absolutely vital difference here between properly escalating a problem and simply abandoning a frustrated guest. If you just walk away to find a manager without saying a word, the guest feels ignored and left hanging.
Section 4. Closing the loop.
We've entered the final section of the explainer, focusing on the hidden administrative stages that ensure all your good work actually sticks. Step 6 is follow-up, and step 7 is document. Now, following up is the secret ingredient here. Checking back to ensure the fix actually worked takes less than a minute? But it's the exact step that turns a negative complaint into a genuinely positive memory for that person.
But timing is absolutely everything for step 6. Check out the bottom row here. A guest with a deadline. If they have a flight to catch or a tour to make, you must follow up before that deadline hits. Let's be real. You should absolutely never make a guest with a tight schedule chase you down to find out if their problem is fixed. You have to proactively close that loop.
Finally, we hit step 7, which is documentation. In a hotel setting, this goes into the Property Management System, or the PMS. You log everything: the name, the room, the complaint, the action you took, the follow-up, the whole shebang. The training reinforces this golden rule, and it's a good one. If it is not in the PMS, it did not happen. Think about it. If a guest mentions the issue later to a different employee on a totally different shift and there are 0 notes, all your hard work is invisible and that poor guest has to start from scratch. Documentation protects you, for sure, but it really protects the guest.
As we wrap this up, let's arm ourselves with the right vocabulary. Look at this rapid-fire comparison. The language on the left, let me find out what happened. That takes real ownership. But the language on the right, that's not my department, or someone will take care of it. It's vague, it's dismissive, and it's super frustrating to hear. True de-escalation means stepping up and taking total ownership of the outcome.
I want to end this explainer with a direct, provocative challenge, straight from the self-assessment section of the training workbook. We've covered the 7 stages: listen, apologize, gather, offer solutions, escalate, follow up, and document. So what is the one thing in this process you find hardest to do, and why? Reflecting on our own communication blind spots is really how we grow. Think about it the next time you find yourself in a stressful interaction. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.